So Chapman or Hood. So those of you that are confused looking at the gallery, Chapman Frazier goes by his middle name, Hood Frazier. Hood, please.
Thank you. I appreciate you all putting the reading together here as well. Very, very nice opportunity and way of pulling everyone together on this Labor Day. I'm a professor in residence from JMU and work in outside of Farmville, Virginia. I live in Rice, a little town slightly outside of Farmville. So I'm not quite in the Williamsburg area. So I thank you for letting me come and read. This poem is actually one that's going to be published in the next year in the spring in the Lost Book of the Bestiary, which is coming out by V Press LC, and with some of my other work. And this was from a series of animal poems. This is called The Narrow-Mouthed Frog. Beneath the brittle mud, around the shrunken pond in Somalia, is an endangered frog, the color of scrub. It lives at the edge of the brown water where a woman with legs thick with clay cuts tubers from water lilies and throws them on the shore. Her toes feel the ooze underwater. Her brow is wet with sweat as she wades towards the crusted shore to search for frogs hidden beneath the dried mud slabs. She pries with her left hand and grabs with her right, and though she abhors their slick feel, she thinks only of her daughter's thin infant with scabs on her lips and whose brown, beautiful eyes are mostly white now. This is the politics of place. A few brass shells among the stones litter the road home each evening. Further along, she notices a clump of clothes and smells the sun-drenched stench as bitter and familiar as the taste of tubers. The sunken body stretched there has flies in its open eyes. In Washington, the president listens absent-mindedly, then dips his finger in his water glass. The ambassador from Somalia clears his throat to again prioritize his country's needs. The president rubs his finger around the rim of the crystal water glass, listening to its single widening note, a clear sound, like that of frogs he heard one evening as a child. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hood. We're not going to get into politics today, but it doesn't matter what your politics are. The notion that all countries should be created equal and are clearly not is an important notion. And I love that you tied it in with nature.
Thank you.
So Sophia Starnes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you especially Kathleen for organizing this reading. I'm delighted to be a part of it. The poem that I'm reading actually takes a little different take. It's we, the poets, as our labor is a labor where our materials are our words and our tools are language and our pauses and our sighs. And so we build a house with the words that we have. The strange thing is when I was writing this poem, it actually coincided at the end with September 11, and I think that's what brought into the poem the fully into ashes that I did not expect was going to come into the poem as I was starting to write it. But this is the house that spoke. Here is a task to undertake. Let's build a house out of a sigh, to be through memory a language. Brickwork, brickword, rumors from Swang Ratan spelling out our tales. And the sigh will be the rust stain on the wall, a pipe's great story which we fail to hear in summer patches. If the house were grander, garrulous, we might forget those ahs of rooted pitch, shingles that squandered foreign rain, vocal squares, whitest, where a door sings glories. And we'll say, the sigh was a pre-Babel thing, hard awe before that ancient hour when we gaped skyward, gleaning why, for how long, and at whose nostalgic bidding. Ah, the sigh will become a drawn-out dream for beasts of wonder, for wings, for people leaving secretive houses stuttering. Why not say simply, I am bewildered by my fall, how the ground rose between groans and good lips, how it hummed when the towers homed fully into ashes, and all I heard whooshed between words was love you, love me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I want to mention that Sophia Starnes was the Poet Laureate of Virginia from 2012 to 2014. It's an unusual poetry reading when we have 3 Poet Laureates, and it makes me very nervous about when we get to mine. So thank you for sharing your time and your wonderful poem with us, Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mary Haines?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Although our dad worked as a building contractor and a carpenter, our family lived on a small farm, which he also managed with the help of my mom and a little help, I guess, from the kids. One of my most vivid and fascinating images from childhood was this time of threshing in late summer, early fall, when the hired threshing, the person who owned the threshing machine would arrive with his crew. And my poem was a recollection of one of those days. Threshing time. Am I supposed to have my picture up there?
You do on my screen, which is what's being recorded. Everyone else has choices, but
Okay.
just speak and I'll be quiet and you'll be great.
That's fine. No, excuse me, as long as you're threshing time. A late summer morning, Dad drove his tractor into the field, grain binder in tow, to cut and bundle oats. Once done, he left the grain sheaves standing in shocks to dry, a familiar harvest display. Days later, a threshing machine pulled up to the field, a threshing crew close behind. A neighbor or two, a friend, including Uncle John, pitched hands and muscle to feed the thresher. Imagine the scene, a canvas of reapers. Men in bib overalls loading oat shocks on a wagon, then tossing unruly sheaves into the machine, separating grain from stem. One chute blows straw onto the ground, another oats into the granary. Chaff swirls in the hot air, everything in motion. Burly voices, click-clacks, and engine drone ring through the field, a working song. Midday, Mom serves dinner in 2 ships, crammed into our kitchen beneath a framed Last Supper scene. The men feast on chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, and pie. On full stomachs, they recharge into the midday heat to finish the job, refill the granary before dusk. Mom bragged we reaped 400 bushels from a scant 4 acres, the most oats harvested in town hall that year. Even the town talked. The silver dollars Grandma stowed in glass jars and hid in the granary bin, a stash we never reaped. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary.